Welcome back to the Ben Mulroney Show. Welcome back to This Week in Politics, our Friday edition with Chris Chapin and Warren Kinsella. Chris, I was going to give you the final word on Hamas throwing up their hands and saying, we don't want to play.
I mean, it is what it is. It's the world we're going to live in. I think, Ben, it's why I think the only way this truly ends is letting Israel take it to its logical conclusion, because left to their own devices, I think Warren nailed it. They want to exterminate Israel, and you've got an unstoppable force and an unmovable object.
All right. Well, we've got an army of people working at the CRA. I think we've got more people in the CRA than we have in the actual Canadian Armed Forces. And so they got to do stuff, right? And one of the things that they've been tasked with is auditing certain charities for potential terrorism links. And they were just under the microscope because they couldn't justify why they were auditing certain Muslim charities. It was raising the possibility that some of their decisions were driven by bias and discrimination. And I wonder, Warren, what you think about that, because I guess the question is, were they profiling these people? Were they looking into these charities just because they were run by Muslims and they were Muslim charities? And I wonder what you think. Is that profiling, or is that just investigating?
No, it wasn't profiling at all. And, here, I'm going to do something unpopular. I'm going to give credit to CRA. Okay. CRA and finance have decertified pro-Palestinian charities in the recent past, for providing funding directly or indirectly to groups like the PFLP and Hamas. They've done that. That's on the record. You can check it out for yourself. And I've done a lot of investigative reporting about this issue. We have a big problem with those charities. Instead, what they focused on is going after Jewish charities who are doing terrible things like building parks and planting trees in Israel. That's become the focus of some people within CRA. And CRA, actually, the union, who represents most of the employees there, last August issued a statement calling for a crackdown on so-called Jewish charities. So no, I think CBC fell for this hook, line, and sinker. Yeah. The issue isn't the so-called Muslim charities. The issue is that they're not being scrutinized nearly enough.
Well, Chris, I see this as, if you take what Warren said as gospel, then this is concerning, because if any time you go and do your job, you are pushed back as somebody who's potentially violating the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms, and or you are espousing Islamophobia, that now you're getting into a place where you're not allowing the watchers to do the watching.
Yeah, I think we've seen this, Ben, across different levels of our society, though. We've seen this with police work, for example. The police being told they need to stop doing things that they had been doing for years that kept communities safe because, it was bias. You asked that question, is this just good detective work? I think so. The purpose of these investigations is to determine whether these charities are doing things that, might potentially keep Canadians less safe. And so when they find it, there's a reason to keep looking for it. And that's unfortunately the truth, is we have seen stories of Canadian charities being used to funnel money to terrorist organizations. That should be of concern to absolutely every Canadian. This is about what's right and what's wrong, not about inherent bias. We don't have a issue with Jewish terrorism in North America. We have had issues with Islamic terrorism in North America. We're all old enough to remember 9/11, and the many other examples even Warren cited earlier, that, there are concerns with that. And I hope the CRA keeps doing this work because it's the right thing to do.
All right. Well, now we've got to move to what is undoubtedly one of the most pressing, important stories of the day. And I believe, gentlemen, that there are two types of people. There are the people for whom changing the clocks, either going forward or coming back, throws their entire life into chaos. They can't sleep, they can't drive, they can't concentrate, they can't consummate their relationships. Life is terrible. And then there are people like me that just get over it. And I wonder, before we have this conversation about getting rid of daylight saving time, I want to know what kind of people you are. Chris, tell me.
I cannot wait to get rid of this thing. I'll tell you why. I do a lot of work across the prairies with our company, and Saskatchewan got rid of it a long time ago. And so there's nothing more frustrating than trying to figure out which hour or 2 hours they're behind when you're trying to schedule meetings, because sometimes they're aligned with our clients and the work we do in Alberta, and sometimes they're aligned with the work we do in Manitoba and here in Ontario, where they're an hour or 2 hours behind. And I hate it because I'm from the center of the universe here in Toronto, and I assume there's only one time zone, and that's our time zone. So me trying to do the math complicates everything every single time. So I say, get rid of this once and for all.
Chapin, just use Google. Hey, Google, what time is it in Saskatchewan, Regina? It's not that complicated.
I try. I have to. I feel like an idiot. The number of times I Google, what time is it in Regina? Ben, I've lost track.
All right, Warren, what kind of person are you?
Chapin is a central Canadian fascist. Do you hear what he said?
I am.
I don't care about this issue. Like, I care more about what Taylor Swift had for breakfast than I care about this issue. Like, these suitcases under my eyes right here that you can see, they're not going to disappear. It doesn't matter if we're springing ahead or falling back or whatever. Like, I never get it right. A lot of people don't. And so, like, I just don't care. But for sure, for the pundit industry, like the three of us are in, this is a lot of fun to talk about. I don't have an opinion on it. I don't care either way. Just make your mind up and do it.
Okay, well, to that point, to wit, Warren, so Marie-France Lalonde, the MP, is planning to introduce a bill aimed at ending daylight saving time, but it's not a bill to end daylight saving time. It's a bill to study it. And that is the most Canadian, most government thing you could possibly do. Like, pick a lane, keep it, get rid of it, but we don't need to study it, do we, Chris?
I howled when I read the article, Ben. It was the most liberal thing that I could possibly come up with, that you couldn't just be definitive on keep it or get rid of it. It's let's have the federal government, I believe the language is, organize a conference with stakeholders.
That's what
to formalize whether we would keep it or not.
Aren't we all stakeholders in this? Anybody who lives according to the clock, are we all stakeholders?
Like, couldn't we just have like a push poll or something? Like, all Canadians just answer one or two.
Yeah,
that seems far easier. Or just make up our minds.
Yeah, Warren. The fact that this is going to be turned into a roundtable discussion with stakeholders it's just the government making busy work.
Yeah, I'm here. I got to watch. Like, I'm a stakeholder too. But she's a very nice lady, and I like her a lot. But can you think of a more uniquely Canadian response than to convene a conference to study an issue instead of actually dealing with it? Again, I don't care. It's just like, guys, can we just stop talking about this and move on to some of the more important subjects, like the ones we were talking about earlier in the show, and focus on those? This one seems to be a bit of a time waster. But Chapin, that central Canadian solipsistic
Laurentian elite, I get called when I'm out in Regina. Laurentian elite.
No,
he's just focused on his own needs.
We only have about a minute left. So in that time, let me ask you guys going to watch the Blue Jays this weekend?
I can't wait.
Yeah.
I think it should be a good series. We need to be able to beat up on the Yankees and beat up on them well.
I can't believe we're here, but we are. But I can't. I'm up in my cabin in the woods, and I don't have TV here, so I'm going to have to do it the old-fashioned way, listen to the radio.
Yeah, but you got Wi-Fi. We're clearly talking to you right now. You could watch. Clearly you got that. No?
Yeah, I guess so. I guess I could do that. But no, I actually like listening to games when I'm driving on the radio. Because I'm not trying to butter your toast here, Ben, but I think radio guys describe games better than TV guys. I find it more compelling.
Yeah,
it's a tougher job for guys like you, and I enjoy it more.
Well, fortunately, that is not in my wheelhouse. I will tell you though, the TV guys. One day, years ago, I was watching a Cubs game, and I think it was on Father's Day. And the guys had just run out of steam. They had run out of things to say. And the guy says, and today's Father's Day. So to all you fathers out there, happy birthday. My favorite line ever from any sports guy ever calling a game. Anyway, guys, thank you so much. Have a great weekend. Really appreciate your insights today. And we'll see you next week.
Take care, guys. See you guys.
Thanks so much for watching the show. Now, if you enjoyed what you saw, hit that subscribe button so you never miss another episode of The Ben Mulroney Show.